know I'm going through it 'cause she's looking so fine. Downtown honeys look so damn nice. They looking so nice, you have to see them twice. Uptown honeys got a whole nother steez. They like to dress rough, but they know how to please. But capital city honeys, man, they know they the best. They keep it real smooth and they know how to dress. Them DMV honeys got a whole nother style. You might get the digits, but then they act wild.
When I wake up in the morning, it's all I see. No matter if I'm hanging out uptown or in D.C.
Joining me right now, we have Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Democrat from California. She is a member of the Appropriations and Budget Committees. She's also a surrogate for the Harris campaign. All right, my fellow California girl, welcome. Nice to see you again. Look, Donald Trump mentioned at a rally yesterday and at a meeting with reporters today that he spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Typically, this can happen with candidates, certainly as they're running for president. But should Trump be talking to Netanyahu right now, considering the big picture circumstances? Do you see dangers in that?
Nice being with you, Alex. I think, first of all, we know that Donald Trump is not talking to Netanyahu about a ceasefire and releasing the hostages. And believe you me, this is a very critical moment. And in fact, we should be moving forward now. There's no reason and no justification for continuing with this war that has killed thousands of people, over 45,000 people, innocent civilians, women, children, men, flatten Gaza. The hostages still are not released. The regional war is being executed.
Because when Trump says that he has spoken to Netanyahu, he's signaling other people that I can sell secrets. Netanyahu would have to be a goddamn fool to speak to Trump about anything, knowing that Trump, basically gave away his own country's secrets. I mean, duh.
In many ways, which we cautioned about. I did early on. And so whatever Donald Trump is talking
and Trump is that idiot
to Netanyahu about is not in the interest of peace and security for the Israelis or the Palestinian people.
Facts.
With Sinwar's death, does it change the dynamic in terms of the amount of aid the U.S. should send Israel? And here's why. Has its stated goal at the start of the war of decimating Hamas, has that now been achieved by Israel?
Listen, there should have been a ceasefire a long time ago. The only pathway to peace is through diplomacy and through trying to help forge a plan for peace and security for the Israelis and the.
I hope everybody, Palestinians, also others in the region, Israelis also alike, and others, think about that message of, diplomacy is the only path to peace here, because, the situation can either grow, and consume more lives, or it can, ramp down, stabilize, and then try to, get back on solid footing in the right direction, at least, which was supposed to be the two-state solution. But there's so many people that have lost hope with that at this point, given all of the disaster, Yeah. In any case, this is just the U.S. perspective here. This is a rep for the U.S. So, yeah.
Palestinians. That has not happened, but that should be the priority. And so there's no justification for the policy of Israel or the United States to continue as it was in the past in terms of the security assistance and in terms of arming and in terms of making the area and the region more volatile. And so now many members of Congress also, who are saying and have said for a while now that we should have a ceasefire, we should help bring together a ceasefire. And I think the Biden-Harris administration is doing everything they can do to.
Well, when your leader is dead, basically, you would think that the other side would want a ceasefire. I mean, at the very least. But apparently, who knows how this is going to go, because this is not just about one group. This is like a conglomerate of groups different groups helping each other. I mean, there's Iran, apparently, allegedly, Iran, as the narrative goes, Iran is funding Hamas and others, right? The Houthis also, and others. And these groups, change and morph because of the membership, right? Changes. Obviously, if people die, how's it going to live on if you don't have more members keeping it alive, or you're not introducing new members to it? But in any case, I think it's reasonable from the U.S. perspective to want a ceasefire, or to think right now is a great time to have a ceasefire without taking sides. But, you see how uneven this, I don't want to say uneven, because sure, Israel is being terrorized, obviously, right? But I mean, look at the amount of devastation they're capable of, having, or showing, um, when they decide to. I mean, Israel's military is really like taking it to some of these people, and so yeah, for whatever it's worth.
To get that on track or back on track, but it's up to Netanyahu and the region to make that decision. Mm-hmm. And so the hostages deserve this to be released. They deserve a ceasefire. And of course, the Palestinian people deserve to live in peace and security side by the Israelis. And that is not happening as a result of the policies.
Okay. I'm going to switch gears here and say, on a lighter note, we're going to show you what Donald Trump is doing right now. He has gone to a...
All right, here we go. Yes, exactly. This is the entertainment feature of today. This is insane. Donald Trump walks his ass into a McDonald's and says, I need to have one of these aprons. Put it on me right now. And I need a photo op in McDonald's. I mean, don't you think this is a step beyond, is this a sign of desperation? Donald Trump bending down to the layman, to the everyday. Don't people realize that because of people like Donald Trump and his policies, you can't have decent salaries at many places because they're anti-union, so that means you go with what the employer thinks is best, right? Essentially, you don't have an evaluation or anything like that. No wellness or health, thoughts to the workers. How long can a worker work here? How fast should they be elevated through the ranks? If they do this, and this, like a comprehensive understanding of what a worker is in real life, sick leave, all of these kind of things, pension, if you want to be working there full time. Look, people have this idea like some jobs don't need a pension. Any job that has you there past maybe a year should definitely have you on a pension plan, because that's full time, a year out of your life. You only got 80 of those. You see what I mean? You only have 80 of those years to give somebody, not even 80, you see, even less, right? Obviously. But yeah. And people like Donald Trump, they're the reason why you have big corporations paying low employee salaries, but they're still taking over everything, and the employee salary gets smaller. Is that what you wanted for your community? They have superstores now. Everything's a McDonald's now. The food stores are big conglomerates now. What are they called? They got different names, but you go in these places and they have everything from frozen to dry to, meats and all kinds of stuff, right? Fresh vegetables, everything. Costco, for an example, but how much do the employees get paid? Are they unionized? And if they are unionized, that would be like one of the big deals of the East Coast. Like, yeah, Costco union job, but only because we know how anti-union, the region, well, there's unions there, but we know that a lot of industry, forgoes without union membership, or any job, for that matter. But again, 1 year of your life is a lot of years. That's a long time. Any after that, you should be getting a pension or something, and a livable wage. And that's just my view. But let's continue and see what they say about Donald Trump catering to the who's this? Is this the black job? Is this one of the black jobs Donald Trump's talking about being taken? What do y'all think? Is this a black job? Is this a black job? I'm not sure. According to Donald Trump, you have to ask that question. Donald Trump, is this a black job? Is this what he meant by the foreigners coming in to take one of these jobs? Is this what you meant? Because guess what? If this is the way you talking about, man, I mean, don't get me wrong, a job is a job, but at the end of the day, I hope you wasn't capping for this job, talking about all that shit about this. They coming to take your jobs. They're taking your jobs. Hispanics and African Americans, my Hispanics and African Americans, they're coming to take your job. Is McDonald's a union job? I'm just curious. I'm just asking questions. I don't know, but I have to ask these questions because this man has on a Big Bird suit. All right, here he is. Let's watch.
McDonald's. He's going to this McDonald's and he's in the Philadelphia area. He's going to work a fryer apparently before he goes to the Steelers versus Jets game.
See, and you see how easily look at how tidy he is too. He should be the manager of this McDonald's, right? He sets a standard. He wears a tie, comes in there. That's right. Clean up. And did you notice when he did the fries, he didn't even put his hands on the fryer. Somebody else did it for him. Yeah. He just stood there.
I mean, if you're on his campaign, and I know you are certainly not, I'm not making any implication of that, but what is the logic behind this, going to a McDonald's? I mean, we know the guy likes Big Macs and filet of fish, and he's used the word love to describe the way he feels about the food there before. But what's this about?
Yeah, what's this about? You trying to get them better union wages, Mr. Trump? You trying to get them better minimum wage, Mr. Trump? What are you trying to get for them there and for their vote? Like, what is it? You know, is that what you're going to promise? Higher salary, more benefits for McDonald's employees? I really wish that would be the case. But as you probably noticed, Trump has said nothing about that at all. Zero. He had no plan. You know what he told these people? He said, we're going to drill, baby, drill. That's going to solve your problems.
There's no logic to it. It's a stunt. He has not put forth an economic agenda. He, as you know, appears to be not well. And he's engaged in some really bizarre types of activities during this campaign. So this is just another one of those stunts that he will continue on.
Look, he's directing. I don't know if you just saw this shit. He just directed the cameraman on his own shoot. Look at this shit. This is so funny. This is hilarious. I'd never seen this before. Hold on. Let me bring it back.
What's this about?
There's no logic to it. It's a stunt. He has not.
All right, look. He's about to do it with his left hand. Watch this.
Put forth an economic agenda. He, as you know, appears to be not well. And he's engaged in some really bizarre types of activities during this campaign.
Here it comes. Watch, here it comes.
So this is just another one of those stunts
You see
that he will continue on through the campaign. And I think that
he just directed the cameraman. He's really busy making fries. No, he's really busy getting that photo op. Donald Trump is all on this one right here. Like, you know, he is in charge. And this is how he's going to run. Should I say this? The White House. Yes, the Oval Office.
We need to really focus on making sure that he is not elected, of course, because he is a threat to our democracy, but also the Harris.
He's just standing there. Is he making one fry? Is he making one burger? What's in his hands? What's in the man's hands? Yeah.
Walz agenda is about the economy, reducing the cost of living, reducing the cost of prescription drugs, reducing the cost of housing, and making life better for everyone. And that's what we have to focus on and make sure we get every voter to the polls and make sure that the voters vote for the future, not taking the country backwards, as you see what Donald Trump continues to try to do. So I'm urging and encouraging everyone to get to the polls and vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be their next president and vice president.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Like, I don't see, let me just turn this down a little bit. I don't see nothing. What is he doing here? He's not doing anything. It's the other guy doing everything for him. Let's just bring that back a little bit. He just stood there. He directed the cameraman. Let's bring it back just to get one good overall take. What just happened here? Here we go. He walks in there. Yep. I mean, these are the people he's saying that he's going to help, right? But okay, how is he going to help them? I'm all for helping McDonald's workers or anybody who works a job like this, any fast food chain, right? I would be interested in getting those people not just a raise, but also union. I don't know if they're unionized. It probably changed from state to state. Maybe, I'm not sure. I need to look into this, but let me see here. As a matter of fact, I can do that right now. Is McDonald's unionized employees in the USA? I know they have some standards, even if they aren't. They must have. Okay. Generally, they're not unionized. Okay. Right. There's been a fight. There have been efforts by labor groups such as Fight for 15 movement to unionize fast food workers, including McDonald's employees, to advocate for better wages and working conditions. Yeah, see, so this is a product of not being unionized. This is a job that would typically fall under a union. It's full-time employment you will often see here, right? And the standards are low. So they're fighting for something that they don't have yet. And that's just fair wages, health, some real comprehensive look at what an employee is, what the life style is, what the health conditions are like. And yeah, working inside of a McDonald's like this for many years or any fast food chain, what are the health how do you deal with that? Is your life expectancy shorter working in a place like this? And if so, shouldn't you work less years? Shouldn't you get pension earlier if that's the case? I mean, or does all industry just, no matter what, it doesn't matter if you've been standing on your feet, 10 or 8 hours a day for 30 years from sitting down 30 years. I'm not saying that that's always makes it harder, but I'm just saying, just to give you an idea of what I mean, like the effects on your body, it might be a little different. So, but it could also be adverse. But in any case, let me just play a little bit more. This man, he's telling you that he's down to earth right here. This is his version of down to earth. But do you believe Donald Trump would ever, if it wasn't something in it for him, do you believe that he would ever a day in his life be associated with anybody that works at any one of these places ever? Do you think Donald Trump would associate with that? I don't. And you can't convince me with this photo shoot that he does. Hell no. And I saw the barbershop clips, of him in the New York barbershop, right? I guess he's gone to different ones. I'm sorry. The man looked scared. He looked like he was an alien. And also his words, he diverted from answering questions. Like that he offered these people nothing of substance and word, regarding why they should vote for him. The truth of the matter is that none of these people should vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the reason why their back is broken. Basically, they need to understand that. If there's ever been, if you've ever led a fox in in a hen house, that's Donald Trump. You see, if you're expecting to get fairer wages for your time as a worker, better a better work environment, right? Donald Trump is not the guy you want to vote for at all. And the two can matter. Like, people shouldn't nickel and dime themselves. Like, you shouldn't think that, of course, you should understand about the economy and how it overall affects you, of course, right, in the immediate. But you should also be able to make a distinction about 2, 3 years, 4 and 5 years down the line too. What kind of policies will help that be stronger in that moment, or how stronger could it be? So everything that comes fast is not always pretty, So in politics, you need to be able to do both. So Trump, he might give you a COVID check, or you might have felt, even a lot of people felt like the economy was better, even though he inherited that from Obama. They don't, he inherited a good economy from Obama. Biden and Harris did not inherit a good economy from Trump. But in any case, a lot of people feel like they had better buying power under Trump. Okay, right? And they did get like 2 COVID checks as well, right? That might have helped. But the reality is that long term, Trump doesn't have a solution for institutional things, long term, big projects that are designed to, fortify Americans' lives and their lifestyle, the nation in general, right? Trump doesn't have a hand on that. And in fact, the U.S. has such a huge economy that you have to have somebody that can handle, just the idea of what something like that looks like. Global markets, U.S. Assets globally, be able to understand and communicate it to the voter, let alone come into a McDonald's and be able to communicate something basic like, okay, like I did about the age. How many hours do you work here? What is the life expectancy of a person that works in a kitchen in McDonald's? That's the first thing I would want to know, because then the benefits and the programs you should get should be geared towards a person that has that lifestyle, might have certain needs. You see what I mean? Like, number one, where are they eating? Because I really hope they're not eating this every day. And what's their right to eat something else? Like, I'd have to look at all of it, but a union would do that. So, yeah, but let's see if he's for unions. Don't think so. Donald Trump is not for the union. Yeah.
Because he is a threat to our democracy, but also the Harris-Walz agenda is about the economy, reducing the cost of living, reducing the cost of prescription drugs, reducing the cost of housing, and making life better for everyone. And that's what we have to focus on, and make sure we get every voter to the polls and make sure that the voters vote for the future, not taking the country backwards, as you see what Donald Trump continues to try to do. So I'm urging and encouraging everyone to get to the polls and vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to be their next president and vice president.
Donald Trump is like...
He's showing the guy on the camera, he's showing the guy how to make fries. And Trump is watching him, learning how to make fries. But Trump wishes he could get the hell out of there fast. He doesn't give a damn about making these fries. And he's not interested in this individual's life at all, because he's a classist. He's born into a certain level of life, and he's been raised that way, to believe that people that don't have this level of life are lower class, worthless, scum, basically. Yeah, but you see it in everything Donald Trump has to say about anyone who suddenly doesn't work with him or anything doesn't go right. Donald Trump gives them the blame, essentially.
Repeatedly, or rather accused Kamala Harris of lying repeatedly about working at a McDonald's way back in the day when she was younger. I mean, what's the point of that?
There is no point. And
Yeah, he's still refusing. He actually got on camera here in this interview where he's at and started talking about that. Like, I don't know if they're going to show it, but he did.
I have known the vice president for over 3 decades, and she tells the truth. And what does Donald Trump do? He's constantly telling lies about every single thing. And I'm confident that the voters understand that lies are not going to get him elected, but we have to focus on making sure that the agenda of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are put forward so that every voter know that we're going to move this country forward under their leadership and not backwards. And that is essential at this point in time in our country. The economy is moving forward. The fact that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have an opportunity agenda, an opportunity economic agenda to help make life better for everyone. And I say not just to survive, but to thrive. And that's what we have to look at. We know who Donald Trump is. Just look at him and what he's doing. And is this presidential? I mean, this is not what the country needs in terms.
Mr. Schmidt, this is your extraordinary reporting, extraordinary series of interviews with John Kelly. What was your reaction to hearing Donald Trump's chief of staff say all of what we just heard and more? How'd you feel?
I don't know what my reaction really was to it. I think that it was our job to try and find a new way to tell this story. And I think a lot of the stories about Kelly have been out there and they've been written about and they've gotten a lot of attention in the print press. But I thought that the story would reach people differently if they could hear it. And I think that in the midst of any story, when you're trying to find different ways to communicate it to people and to, illuminate things and explain them, we have, because of, modern technology and such, different tools to do that and different ways to write stories and different ways to tell stories. And I thought in this case, it was really important to get Kelly to answer the questions in a way that people could hear from him, because I think that's one, it's more compelling. And two, it gives people more texture and insight into what this individual who spent more time behind closed doors with Donald Trump in the White House than any other senior official in his administration. So I think,
one thing, they're going to play a little bit of John Kelly's own words, but one thing I cannot stand about this guy is like the excuse. I mean, I could be a little naive, but what makes a person sit around a guy like Donald Trump, say so many things for so long, but not come out against him immediately? Like, they sat on this like they thought it was going to go away, like it wasn't what they were seeing. He worked with Donald Trump for a while. Now, I'm not disputing his words, but it could have been a little more helpful if they came earlier. Right. I'm not saying that he ducked or dodged any questions, but it just seems like this kind of fear should be taken up faster. These kind of negative ideas that he began to have about Donald Trump some time ago, while he was in office. I mean, really, watch.
This story is as much about what Kelly said as it is the fact of how he is saying it in a way that you can actually hear him. And I think that's what makes a difference.
How, but also why now? What was the trigger? Because he worked to carry out Trump's agenda for over a year.
It seems like the U.S., they played citizens in the media, they played with this story of dictator thing for a while. They sat on it. And this thing about crossing the line, setting new precedents in the law, all of this stuff, people waited too long to take it serious. Right. I think that's overall the story for U.S. citizens. Like, they will regret taking so long, yes, they will. And I'm not saying that things won't be, straightened out and taken care of. But I think that would be the overall story. Like, why? That's what people will say in history. Why didn't people act sooner?
He saw Trump's conduct, and we've heard from John Kelly a number of times over the last 3 years. Why was this particular moment so different for him?
I think that Kelly decided that he would speak out under two different circumstances. One, if Trump said something about him or related to him that was wildly inaccurate, or if Trump said something that he thought was
Okay, now they're going to start explaining why. Okay,
really dangerous or offensive or damaging to the country. And he saw what Trump said about using the military on American citizens. And that is a real red line for Kelly. I think Kelly sees the divide between the military and the American people and civilians, and the American military being used in the United States.
You know what? Isn't the military, all government institutions, aren't they all supposed to be anti-racism? Aren't they all supposed to be anti-fascist? All of our U.S. American institutions, so I still don't get his answer, but
States as hugely important, hugely consequential. And that same tension is inside of him when he's deciding whether to speak, because he still sees himself as a uniformed military officer, albeit a retired one. So the tension in him is that he doesn't want himself to get involved in politics. He doesn't want to be involved in partisan politics. He hates partisan politics. At the same side of the other side of the coin, he also thinks that using the American military domestically is a really, really troubling, terrible prospect. And I think that he thought that using that rhetoric, particularly in a presidential campaign by a former president about what he would do if he was back in office, was so troubling that he felt a need to speak out.
Mr. Steele, John Kelly is a highly decorated retired Marine Corps general. He told the New York Times that he actually agrees with some of Donald Trump's policies, but fitness of character should matter more. Do you think Republican voters are going to listen to anything he has to say here?
I think some will. The reality of it is, I agree with some of his policies is a throwaway at this point. You're just like, okay, yeah, well, so what? At the end of the day, it's about everything else, because we haven't talked about policies in how long? So it's not that. It really is about the fitness of character, the readiness and steadiness to do the job, the seriousness with which one is required to do the job, to be president. Donald Trump exhibits none of that. And it is profoundly important that someone like General Kelly right now comes out and speaks to that. Yep, the trigger was, that the president wants to turn on the American people. Well, we've known that for a while. I mean, this is not a new revelation in that sense. We've seen examples of it. I mean, just weeks ago, we were talking about, the president, layering up or, playing, Haitians as eating cats and dogs when he knew that was a lie. But the fact of the matter is everyone finds their trigger. And it'll be interesting to see if others are triggered in the next couple of weeks to say this and more about the man they once served, because that's probably, at the end of the day, Stephanie, the biggest myth.
Well, they need to start doing that like right now and keep it going, because, again, with a lot of the U.S.'s real issues, core issues, it takes time to implement. So a lot of even the bills and things like that have been passed through the Congress and Senate under the Biden administration still haven't been implemented fully, if at all. Many, now the infrastructure thing is beginning to, of course, and it's ongoing. But the big one, it's now there in the plannings, basically, right, for the rollout, and then for most of it, and then and that's going to go on for years. And then there's the other thing, student loan debt, that hasn't fully rolled out yet because Republicans are fighting it in the courts, I believe, still. And then you have a few other things that are held up. Then there's the black farmer and minority farmers thing, the Rescue Plan Act that got passed and signed by Biden, but Republicans have fought that in courts. Now that's due. As a matter of fact, very soon people are going to get a verdict on that, because it's not that it's lost in court, but it's been held up in court for a verdict, and the monies have been halted, so no financial rollout can go to those farmers as as farmers typically would get, you could say. So but in any case, let's speak up. If whatever it is, speak it up, because wrong is wrong and right is right. And if you want to live in a fascist country called the United States, I mean, there are people that have argued that it already has been for some time, but this is a clear indication. I mean, that it would be, because that's exactly what Trump will do. He will reward fascists. He will reward racists. That's what he's going to do. And he's going to punish those that that stand on the side of justice, and stand against injustice, especially when we're talking about the poor and the middle class. He is against the poor and the middle class. There can be no mistake in your mind. If you're having a problem understanding that, then you're suffering in a lot. You're not getting the overall picture, the view. You need to, do some stronger research, essentially. But this is ridiculous, man. This is Trump, boy. This is Trump's world. But it's not going to end there. There's one other thing that happened that I thought I'd rather end off on that. Let me see here. That was Detroit. Detroit had a decent rally, and apparently, should I turn this off? Yeah, apparently there was some entertainers there. There was a nice time to be had, and but it was fired up. Now I'm just gonna play a little bit of that if I can find it. Let's see here. Where is it at?
Don't we believe that America can live up to the promise and be a better place? Don't we believe that? So I could not be prouder to be here. Can't hear.
Yeah, I just wanted to roll it back to get the top of the.
Can you hear?
Chair.
Can you hear? Can you hear? Okay. I'm going to eat this mic. My name is Alyssa Slotkin. I am so proud to be your nominee for the U.S. Senate.
Melissa
I am
Slotkin,
so
okay.
happy to be here tonight. Detroit, you're looking freaking good. You're looking good. Word on the street is we have now hit 12,000 people. So I just want to say, we all know why we're here. We know the mission. We know our responsibilities. We've talked about it. We've cheered about it. We've rallied about it. And we know that our country has a choice to make in 14 days. And we know what we're going to do to help the country turn the right way in that path in the woods, the way we divert. We know what we have to do. We have to elect Kamala Harris as our next president. We have to elect the first woman president in history of the United States.
Alyssa Slotkin.
And we're going to do it because Michigan is the center of the freaking universe right now. But don't worry, Michigan understands our goals. We understand what we have to do. We know what our responsibilities are. But let me just say this. This is a real full circle moment for me because I get to be here on stage with my former boss, Barack Obama. And let me just say, I'm a former CIA officer, a civil servant. I worked for both parties, and I worked in the Bush White House. I was there the Friday he left office, and I was there the Monday that Barack Obama walked in. And it was amazing. things were a little different. Things were a little different. I got to be staffing as like a little nerd staffer that first day in office in the Situation Room. And what I can tell you I saw up close was something that is missing from so much of politics: integrity in what we do and keeping that focus on the people and not yourself. I also got to experience that lawyerly kind of inquisition that he did to you as a staffer to make sure you knew your stuff. I sat there, right, thank you. I sat there as he would just grill me and grill me and grill me. And what he focused on was the objective facts of a situation, not the politics, not what he should do, but what was right for the American people. I got to see it up close and learn from that. And I'm proud to be here as one of his alumni. I will also say that he's gotten a lot more chill, like a lot. I saw him at the convention. He was wearing no socks. He was chilling out. So it is nice to see him. I saw him backstage. He is ready to go. He is ready to fight in this election. Now, I will just say that we all know that you're maybe you're here because you wanted to bring your kids or you wanted to see Obama up close or whatever, but we know.
I don't know, Rob. I mean, I think I'm going by, of course, the polls somewhat, but I'm not going so closely with the polls just because of, well, I'm going not the overall poll. I'm looking more at the things like with the youth, the polling with the youth, primarily polling with women. That's pretty strong, right? So, and I believe with the records, like there's been some record turnout, for example, in places where the early polling has opened, like in Georgia, right? So, number one, right? So they say it's been very, very high. And so for me, I don't know if the national polling or even the electoral polling is like the most accurate, you could say. But indeed, the race is close. And if you follow the national polling right now, they say that Trump is up. But again, if you break it down and you look at individual polling, like age groups and genders and gender gap and things like that, then you start to wonder, like, how strong is the national polling? How reliable is it? But we're going to find out. And I know one thing for sure. I don't think Democrats are the ones worried. Me myself, I'm like, damn, I have a hard time understanding where you're getting these Republicans from but then I know, just so people know, the polling that often we've been reviewing here, which is the national polling, NBC, CNN, all, the same institutions, we're covering the same polling. And a lot of those pollings, there's only about 1,000, 1,200 respondents. That means people participating in the polling, in the actual questioning. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes the polling can be off a little bit, but they can still extrapolate some things from it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's, I'm just saying that the high number of women voters and young youth voters, to me, it kind of indicates something to me that the edge is in Harris's favor. But how much? Who knows, man? And again, it could still, as you know, in U.S. politics, it's not the person that gets the most votes; it's the person that gets the most electoral votes. So a person could get more votes and end up losing. You know what I'm saying? the race, sadly.
That at the end of the day, you are here because you love your country and you want it to be better. You want it to be better.
Exactly.
Don't we believe that America can live up to the promise and be a better place? Don't we believe that?
I hope Americans believe that, because here's the thing, and this is what I think a lot of foreigners, people that live outside of the U.S., when we meet Americans, right, and we listen to how they think, we realize, and I include myself in this too, because I used to be like this, but now I've been outside of the U.S. so much, I understand that there's another way to approach things. Um, but the U.S. people often feel like it's not, like there isn't hope. Ironically enough, in the most powerful country on earth, in the most powerful country, in the most, the country with the biggest military, the biggest economy, people literally feel like things can't change or this country can't work for me. And in other NATO nations, people, for those same taxes, the nations are pretty much working for the citizen. It's the opposite. And it gives the opposite feeling, and the other feeling is, like, in other NATO nations, people are more patriotic because their tax dollars does something for them. Americans pay a lot of taxes, but within the taxes that they pay, they get very little in return, federally and local taxes. Sadly enough, and that's a type of system where you have politicians and people who decide those moral and ethical decisions. And then in the United States, they've decided that they won't have a safety net for their citizens. That is what they decided. They can undecide at any time with a vote in the Senate and the presidency and all that, the Congress. They can decide those things, but it's their ethics, their own ethics. And so they have other Americans fighting against that. They're called conservatives, and they don't think, they have no problem with you paying your taxes, but they damn sure got a problem with you getting something out of them. So people should think about that. So I like this lady's speech. By the way, her name is Alyssa Slotkin, right? And I liked her speech. She said she worked under Obama as well. I liked her speech because it's true, man. I hope that you understand anything is possible in the U.S. If you're an American citizen, you have the possibility to have the better security net of all NATO nations and still thrive. The problem is the ethics and the morals in the country. People don't believe in a safety net for citizens. And if they do, they've been voting against it. They voted against health care, right? Universal health care. They voted against, making sure that the medicine companies are held accountable. Housing, they faulted against that. There's no safety net for housing. Education, they faulted against that. There's no safety net for education. You see, those things have just turned into all out business practices, you know? Yeah. So, there is a big thing called homelessness in the US. That's another thing. You look across NATO nations and see if you find the same numbers, you know? Well, you will be paying close to the same tax. So, but people aren't getting the same result in the US. So remember, as hopeless as it seems, you have to think rationally. You got to understand American citizens have more have more power than any other people if they fucking use it properly. If they use it properly. And let me tell you, I'll be the first to tell you, with these kind of things, they don't. The United States does not have a good record on supporting its working class. But I give the blue my hat, but Biden and the party itself, particularly, but the leadership too. Right now, we got excellent leaders, the best leaders that the party's ever had. We should give them that credit also. The Democratic Party leaders are intellectuals. They can grasp the big picture and the small picture at the same time, from the macro to the micro and everything in between. So their policies are much more, they set in, but they will set in the longer they drive, the more of a positive impact they will have, in other words. But let me let this play. I'm sorry, I've been rambling here.
So I could not be prouder to be here as your nominee for the U.S. Senate, because Kamala Harris needs a positive Senate, a supportive Senate in what she's going to do. Now, before we get to the big guy, I want to invite one other person up here. Someone who defines pure Michigan, someone who has brought attention to Detroit, someone who believes in our state, who believes in our teams, who believes in Michigan to his core, and has shown the whole world what Detroit and Michigan can do. So without further ado, can the real Slim Shady please stand up?
I know they're going to give me a strike just for playing that one part right there. They can't, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that YouTube will get you when you try to play some of this rap music. Yeah, let's see.
Detroit. What up, though? So look, I wrote down a few things I wanted to say. I love you too. Thank you.
Now, anytime, I'm going to take notice of this. Eminem is out here and he's about to introduce Obama. And what I could say is that it is interesting to have Eminem politically because, first of all, he got a lot of fans, right? Secondly, it's his politic. Eminem grew up in Michigan, outside of Detroit or in Detroit, whichever one it is. I'm sure there ain't a whole lot of difference, you know what I mean? Like, that's I was about to say the East Coast. No, that's the Midwest, but it's in the northern part of the Midwest, So, there are a lot of people like this. So you typically would think like communities are all that black or all white, and they might have some dynamics going on like that. But then you also have some white people that grow up in the black areas too, and or with some understanding of that, this thing about being poor or this thing about being middle class isn't only about race, you see, in the US. So Eminem kind of represents that, and I give him credit for stepping up. He didn't say a lot here, but he at least said something about what he feels, and I'm sure he feels more too. But but here we go. Let's take a listen.
I'm here tonight for a couple of important reasons. As most of you know, the city of Detroit and the whole state of Michigan mean a lot to me. And going into this election, the spotlight is on us more than ever, and I think it's important to use your voice. So I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please. I also think that people shouldn't be afraid to express their opinions. And I don't think anyone wants an America where people are worried about retribution or what people will do if you make your opinion known. I think Vice President Harris supports a future for this country where these freedoms and many others will be protected and upheld.
Yeah, so that's big of Eminem to give an endorsement like that. I think it's useful, especially at this time. And young people need not be fooled. Trump is not for a stronger America, and he's not for young people. He's not for any of those things that you would want young people to have in terms of support, whether it's support while they're living at home or whether it's support while they're not living at home, education wise, housing wise. Trump is not for that in a tax system. He wants to stay away from that because in their minds, these kind of billionaires like Trump, they're not all the same, but the ones like Trump, they see anything for the poor as the beginning of the end of them, their demise, which is not the truth, but that's how extreme their thinking is. Every time they see money going to poor or middle class, they start thinking like, oh, people will get used to this. And then, there won't be the welfare billionaire class anymore. And he's right. There shouldn't be a welfare billionaire class in the US at all. Our billionaires get all the help and support they need. So we don't need to do more than that. But Trump is one who's a slumlord. He's a fraudster with his real estate company. He's basically bankrupting his companies and then using that process to evade, accountability to the citizens through fraud and taxes scams. You see? So people that say it's smart, Trump is smart, how he did that and didn't pay taxes, it's not smart to defraud the people. So in any case.
And here to tell you much more about that, President Barack Obama.
Yeah, I had to cut that music off, like really, because they're gonna try to get me twice. That's a lot of hits. I wonder who licenses Eminem's music, but it's probably him, right? But let me see here. There we go.
Hello, Detroit! You fired up? Are you ready to go? Hey, I've got to say, let me just say, let me just say, I gotta say, I have done a lot of rallies, so I don't.
Yo, man, Obama gets more of an applause than Trump at Trump's own rallies. I mean, that's interesting there.
Don't usually get nervous.
Aftermath, okay.
But I was feeling some kind of way following Eminem. Now I notice my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Vomit on my sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs, but I keep on forgetting.
Oh shit. Yo, did you hear that? Damn. I mean, people I know out there, there's somebody out there in the revolutionary sphere that's like looking at Obama doing an Eminem song as some Illuminati shit right now. I don't know. But on basic everyday American shit, you should be able to understand the social politics of it. It's saying that poor white people, middle class white people don't have an enemy in other middle class people. That's not where your enemy is. That's what it's saying. And politically, you got to be able to understand that when it comes time to vote. That's a good message to put out if that's actually, in fact, your message, if that's the group you're working with, so that's what they're doing. But I know there's these revolutionaries are going to be out there like, oh shit, like, when a president does that, what they trying to do is fuse this. Yeah, dummy, we know. It's called politics, dumbass. Get with the program,
Dun, 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 dun. I thought Eminem was going to be performing. I was going to jump out. Love me some Eminem.
Yeah, that's true though. Obama did slip the Gaddafi thing. And look at the aftermath. Now there's more after that. Look at how many nations fell after that. The French were expelled from. Think about that after this action. So I bet they do regret it.
I love you back. All right. I love you back. And when he's not complaining, when he's not doing some strange tweet, he's trying to sell you stuff. I mean, who is hawking merch when they're running for president? I mean, he's trying to sell you golden sneakers. He's trying to sell you a $100,000 watch. Says it's made in Switzerland, but nobody really knows. And then, listen up, my favorite is the Trump Bible. Don't boo. Don't boo, vote. Gideon gives the Bible out for free. He wants to sell you the Word of God, Donald Trump edition. He's got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. And I'll give you one guess where those Bibles are made. He's Mr. Tough Guy on China, except when he can make a few bucks. Listen, you cannot make this stuff up. If this was a routine on Saturday Night Live, you'd be all like, no, that's going too far. But it's all true. And the reason he's doing it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you. For him, power is nothing more than a means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut that would mostly help him and his country club buddies. He doesn't care if he costs women their reproductive rights because he figures it won't make a difference in his life. And this is the most important thing. Now I want everybody to listen up. Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them. And us, for him, is the, quote, real Americans who support him. And everybody else who doesn't, that's them. That's the enemy. And he does this because he understands that dividing people, making people angry, that boosts his chances of being elected. So that's his mindset. Those are his intentions. And then there is also the question of his competence. Now, y'all have an example of competence in your outstanding governor, Gretchen Whitmer. That's what competence is. Getting stuff done. On the other hand, have you seen Mr. Trump lately? He's out there he'll give like 2.5-hour speeches. Just a word salad. You don't know what the heck he's saying. The other day, he had a town hall meeting. Now, I've had a lot of town hall meetings. And the point is that you're supposed to listen and then answer questions from your constituents. About 45 minutes into it, he just said, you know what, I don't feel like taking questions no more. And then he just played music for half an hour. He's just up there swaying to Ave Maria and YMCA. Can you imagine if Alyssa or I or Gretchen did that? Now, I will say our playlist might be better. I'd have Lose Yourself on there. At one of his rallies recently, he called himself the father of IVF. Now, I I had no idea what.
I mean, wow, I don't know. I don't wish she's the president, Obama's wife, but I know she wouldn't be as worse as Trump. She'd definitely be far better than Trump. But I think Kamala is that. I mean, there's difference in their maybe personality, you could say, but so what? Overall, I think people tend to underestimate Kamala Harris, her actual experience and her strengths, in governance. I think they underestimate her because she is the real candidate. Michelle Obama, she never would run for the office, but she's a great orator. I mean, she's a highly intelligent woman for sure, man, and I'm sure capable in her own right. But in terms of policy and governing the U.S., Kamala Harris, she's a beast.
That means, and you don't either. He said January 6th was a day of love. Made it sound like Woodstock. Made it sound like Coachella. Here's the point, Detroit. If your grandpa was acting like this, you'd be worried. You'd call up. You'd call up your sister, your brother, your cousin. You'd be all like, let me holler at you. Have you noticed Grandpa? He acting a little funny. But this is somebody who wants unchecked power. We do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails. America's ready to turn the page. We're ready for a better story. Michigan, we are ready for a President Kamala Harris. And the good news is Kamala Harris is ready for the job. This is a leader who has spent her life fighting on behalf of people who need a voice, need a champion, somebody who was raised in the middle class. She worked at McDonald's when she was in college to pay her expenses. She did not pretend to work at McDonald's when it was closed.
Facts. Facts. Yes, yes, yes. And so there it is. I mean, there's a clear distinction between the two. But I think the less, obviously this is inherent, but the less informed you are, the less distinctions there are between Kamala Harris and Trump. I think the real shame is that when it comes to understanding somebody's background, I think really because Kamala Harris is a woman, it has caused a segment in the society to kind of turn away from wanting to know anything about her her professional career, really. And yeah, and we've talked about that a lot actually already, but I think it's simple as that. And I think Obama was correct, and I think everyone that went down that line was correct. Like to only be able to cite one or two things 20 years ago or 25 years ago about Kamala Harris, it's not good enough. You need to talk to me about the last 4 years or 10 years, keep it in, a frame that we could all get some real clarity about, when it comes to establishing her character or her work ethic. And I think people will find it. She's very, very busy and capable and has been leading, the entire time, a leader in some capacity, whether it's for her state or whether it's as the vice president inside the, Senate or as the vice president, period. Right. So, yeah, Donald Trump, you saw what that looked like. And I will remind people of what that looks like real quick. Let me go back over to let's see here, YouTube. Let's see if I can pull it up here. 2 seconds. Is it here? Right. Let's see if we can bring this up. That should be here now. Yeah, let me go here. I thought this was supposed to be black. Appearance, dark theme. So I can see. All right. Is it in the dark theme? Yeah, okay. So, this is Donald Trump, just to give people a reminder. I miss it often myself. I forget at times, but it's nothing like a video to remind you of what it's all about. And let me see here. What is it called? I think one of these videos. I mean, there's so many damn videos of Donald Trump making a damn fool of himself. It's hard to know which one to pick up on, but let me see here. Is it? Oh, I think I got to go into playlist. There we go, and I should see it here. Right? Playlist. This is so sad, some of this. Okay, I would say U.S. politics. Let's go into that one. Otherwise, I'll have to play another one of Trump. But there's one that's very clear where he is just so disgusting. It's always going to be that way, though. But did I catch this? Oh, this is the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let me go back a second, y'all. Excuse me. Let me see here. Videos. Let me just go straight to videos. I think where's it at? All right, let me just go to one of these Trump clips that I have up here. Where's it at? Right. Let's just say befuddled. Let's go with that one. Father of school shooting. Right. You know, just for people to have something to reference, that is the equivalent of what COVID did. COVID was there at the door of ruining the US being a global currency. And it did. It didn't ruin that, but it came closer than anything has ever come before. So just to give people a relevance, understanding of how relevant uh, COVID was, to manage, to be effective in managing. That could have taken the US down totally. That was clearly the first risk, that would have, implications forever. But let's hear Trump say something here. Notice how he didn't answer the question at all. So you have a leader who essentially doesn't know how to answer a question. Literally, he couldn't answer that question. He's going to do the same thing, and then he's going to end with being befuddled, right? Because that's what he always does, right? But there's worse examples of Trump. Sadly, there's far worse examples, and we've seen so much under Trump that we have to worry about like what would happen if he had another chance, essentially. But let's see here, just one more look and swipe at him just so people can get a good understanding of what is happening here. Here we go. This is Trump at his purest, right? Now, here's the thing. Just so it's clear for women, right? I'm sure it is, but for men also that are thinking about women's issues, if you allow somebody to talk down about women this way, who's an American, who claims to be an American, as Trump does, what will stop somebody else from doing the same since he does it to his own? So people should understand what you have coming from Trump is exactly what you've seen, garbage. And it's up to you whether to accept it or not accept it. And if this is what you want to accept, this is what you're going to definitely get. And these things about camps and locking up immigrants, throwing them, out of the country, these things about, women's right to their body, or even men's right to control their bodies, what they put in their bodies, from weed to all types of, to birth control, anything else, now, you have to understand, if this is okay for you, then you have the right to vote for it. You have the opportunity to vote for Trump and elect him and put him in office. But you are indeed, you will be electing your own fate. That's essentially what you will be electing, and that's a choice. So I hope everybody a great day. And Let me know your comments. If you want Trump to win, say that. But I have a strange suspicion. A lot of the people online, like that I get in the shorts, and I get a lot of comments in the shorts and pro-Trump stuff. I think a lot of that is trolls. I don't think those are real voters. Some maybe a third, but I think mostly I'm seeing like 2/3 of troll activity, I believe. I don't believe these are real people. And because they don't, rarely do they ever respond back. You know, they leave a comment that's like 2 or 3 words, like Trump 2024, and then never respond again. It's almost just like, trying to get the count up, the body count up, you know. But they're going to need to get those counts in line on the election. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, y'all. So I'm out of this bad boy. Oh, yeah. For those of you that want to support, check this out. Go to the shop. You could pick up a hoodie. You could pick up a gator, you know, for the wind. You could pick up a cap for the wintertime. You know, it's up to you. I got different colors, different sizes and all of that, and delivered straight to your business or home, wherever you like. The site is secure 100%. And so let me know what to do. I appreciate everybody. I will catch up with y'all very soon. One.
Honey's got a whole nother style. You might get the digits, but then they act wild.
When I wake up in the morning, is all I see. No matter if I'm hanging out uptown or in DC, you're all I need.